Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Vesper, and today I thought I'd do a Gill mix-up tutorial. I've been playing Gill a lot on my stream and having a blast with him, and doing mix-ups is one of my favorite things to do with Gill. Man, they're figuring out tech with this character every single day. More and more stuff, man, I'm seeing posted on Twitter. It's getting more complicated too, and this character is pretty deep, man, when it comes to this. And I thought I would share some of the basic, very basic, easy, reliable, practical ones for you guys to learn. Even if you're just picking up Gill, anyone can do them, and you can start being really flashy with Gill. Obviously, this is going to require V-Trigger 2, so that is one of the requirements, but like I said, I'm going to show you some mid-screen and some corner ones, so everything should be practical. Now, of course, I have to give some shout-outs to the people that I found these mix-ups from, specifically Mohumo Hukadama, Hameko, and Sonic Fox. All three of these combos that I'm about to show you are from these three people on Twitter. You can check out their Twitter if you guys want to see the more up-to-date mix-ups or the more complicated ones as well. So the easiest way I think I'm going to explain this is to break up this tutorial into pretty much 4 sections. First, I'll show you guys the initial setup, and then I'll show you what to do after you plant the trap, so how to mix them up. After the trap actually hits, what to do, and what to do after you stun them. So pretty much 4 different segments, and they can all be kind of mixed and matched, and that's what makes this so deep. So let's start with the actual setup itself. I'm going to show you guys 4 different combos, 2 mid-screen and 2 in the corner. I'm going to show the most practical one first here, so let me show you the example. So this first combo requires 2 bars of meter, but the good part is that you only have to sacrifice 1 if you failed an attempt. You can easily confirm into the EX projectile when you're playing neutral with the opponent. For example, if they happen to block, let's say you do a crouching medium kick. You start with the crouching medium kick and you go into the EX and you see they block, you don't have to activate. So you're technically only using 1 bar to set it up total. But if it hits, of course, you can activate from there. Now the second big trick about this is you have to dash forward into crouching heavy punch. You cannot do the retribution with standing hard punch first, like this for example, because if you do that, if you do it with the back hard kick. If you do this first to try to get some more damage, you're not getting the retribution from the crouching hard punch. You need the retribution from the crouching hard punch because you need them to be launched higher than normal in the air. So that's why you go straight into crouching hard punch after the activation. Now, once you get to this part, where you do the second EX fireball, this is the most important part, and that is you have to dash immediately after you recover from the EX air fireball. The faster you dash, the more time you're going to be able to hit them, and the higher they're going to be in the air when you knock them down with the overhead retribution. If you don't dash fast enough and you do it too slowly, even though you completed the entire combo, you're not going to be able to lay down that trap fast enough and therefore cross them up. Once it's at that point, you'll only be able to hit them in front, and the opponent will probably know this, and they'll know, hey, this is no problem, he's not going to be able to cross him. He didn't do it fast enough. So that's the biggest things you want to practice on, is dashing immediately after this. So you can hit them nice and high, so you can plant that trap really early. Okay, the second way to set this up, and this one's really simple, but it's actually harder to get into, and that is just literally doing a raw heavy punch into the EX cryokinesis, so something like this. And then you have it set up from here. So this setup only requires 1 bar, which is nice, but it's pretty tough to land a confirm starting from a standing heavy punch. So with this one, the only times you're actually going to land this if you happen to shimmy the opponent and go into it from there, or if you happen to block like an uppercut and you're doing a big punish, you would use hard punch there, for example. And finally, the only other way would be simply to just land it. At least once again, you can confirm this on hit. I happen to land it personally by using parry, because there's a lot of things that are a lot more punishable after I parry, and then I go into the heavy punch and set it up from there. Besides that, there's really no other trick to this setup, except for the fact that you have to realize that you cancel your sweep into the ice trap. It's not a link afterwards. So But if you once you know that, it's pretty simple and straightforward from there. Also, when you lay down the ice trap, make sure you're holding down or down back so it doesn't go too in front of Ryu. Because if you hold down forward, for example, then the ice trap is not even going to be close to him, and it won't be practical. Alright, so let me show you guys some corner combos to set this up now. Now this corner combo is, it's a little space dependent. You have to be in the corner with the opponent in order to link that standing heavy punch and the cryokinesis afterwards. You can easily confirm it with the two mediums though. They just have to be well spaced. Like for example, if you're just a little further from the opponent, something like this maybe, then the cryo is not going to link and therefore you can't complete it. So that's one thing you have to pay attention to. The other thing, the other trick to this is after you complete the retribution with your lariat, you have to delay the juggle with the crouching heavy punch as late as you possibly can into the EX fireball, because that way you don't go past the opponent when you do your overhead. So let me show you here. So wait and huge delay. Otherwise it's gonna whiff like that. You have to do a massive, as late as you possibly can. Like that. Perfect. And then you can plant it down. Now if you think that corner combo is a little too unreliable because you have to be right deep in the corner with the opponent, you can spend 2 bars instead and go for a more practical way, and that is by using the EX pyrokinesis. So I'll show you that variation. So this variation, it doesn't matter if you're a little further from the opponent when you start it. It's pretty much the same way, just more reliable, not really space independent. The only downside, like I said, is you have to spend an extra bar to set that up. Alright, so now for the good stuff, let's talk about the mix-up itself once you plant down that ice trap. There is pretty much 4 different ways that most people are using now to mix the opponent up after the ice trap is planted. One is using your DP heavy kick to cross them up, and the ice trap will hit them once you reach the other side. You can jump forward instead if you want. However, the very first setup I showed you mid-screen requires you to do the DP heavy kick to cross them up because it's faster than the forward jump. Also, it's a little more deceiving, right? It's kind of tough to tell when Gill is crossing you up with this because it's so fast and abrupt. So I would recommend using the DP heavy kick in general when you want to cross the opponent up. The second way, of course, if the opponent anticipates you hitting them on the opposite side, you can simply just jump straight up. And it won't be reactable for them. They're going to guess either way. So you can simply just do a jump straight up. Don't do like this with light kick. You're going to end up hitting them and ruining the follow-up. Neutral jump is convincing enough. So let me show a quick example of these two. Let's first start with the cross-up. So I'm sure you guys get the idea on the left, right on all these setups I just showed you. Now I'm sure so many people in the video are like, hey Vesper, these setups are fake because the ice trap does not hit on frame 1 and they can just backdash it. Well, they're already figuring out ways around this, including just simply doing meaties and of course instant overheads. Instant overhead part I think is a little too complicated in this guide. But the easy solution to that is to simply meaty the opponent as they're getting up. They still have to guess at the end of the day. They're not reacting to it with a backdash, so you can simply meaty them with a crouching medium kick afterwards, or a forward hard kick for more damage and stun. And I'll show you guys what that looks like. So they do a backdash and they get out of it. And if you anticipate that, then you can do this instead and hit them with a meaty. And then you can thank your opponent for you giving them extra damage, which is nice. Alright, let's move on to the next part of this tutorial. This is another really important part, and this is after you actually land the ice trap, what do you do afterwards? This is really important because your objective is to stun the opponent while they're in the debuffed state and they're frozen. So you can basically go for that touch of death or another reset to finish off the round. There's two combos I'm going to show you guys. One combo does more stun than the other. However, it doesn't necessarily mean you always do the higher stun combo, even though there's the objective, because you want to stun them when they're still debuffed and therefore put into that frozen state, and not just do a regular stun on them. So let me show you these two combos. So this does 663 stun. And this does 639 stun. So it's a small difference, but it does matter. In particular, you want to do the combo that I just showed you guys on characters with low stun, such as like Akuma or Ibuki, for example. Then the first combo, you want to do against characters with average stun, like Ryu. Because that way, when you stun them, they're in that frozen state. And like I said, there's different combos that I need to show you guys for the normal Dizzy. So let me show you guys what this whole setup looks like so far. Let's start with the beginning, the mix-up, and then the follow-up after they get hit by the trap. And boom, they're frozen from one sequence here. And you notice we still have just enough V-gauge left. And that's right, we get one more mix-up or punish combo from there for the round win, even if they have full health. And there's a bunch of options from here too. So we pretty much have three options that I'm going to show you guys to do after they've been frozen and stunned. The first is simply going for another mix-up here. So remember when you stun them, and then they're debuffed, remember to quickly use your lariat to get to them as soon as possible, because the opponent can mash out of this. They won't have time to if you do this correctly. So right when you stun them, make sure you use your heavy lariat so you can get to them as soon as possible, right in front of them. So the first setup, we're going to place the trap. We're going to stand in front of the opponent. We're going to hold down forward and press V trigger to put the trap as far away from them as we can. And then we're going to reset them by doing forward hard kick, juggle in the crouching medium punch, canceled into your DP heavy kick, and it'll cross them up again. So let me show you guys what that looks like. Okay, so let's just imagine we stunned him, use the lariat to go close, plant the trap, and then boom. They won't flip up like that because I have it on next hit on stun. They would simply be put into the ice trap again. And then you can go from there. The second combo that I'm going to show you guys is if you want to go for the hard knockdown sweep instead. And then you can plant down another trap and go from a 50-50 there. Once again, remember you can cancel the sweep into the trap. Finally, you can pretty much set up the same thing if you accidentally stun your opponent like the regular stun and they're not frozen. You just have to do a little less hits here. And of course, guys, you don't even have to mix them up if you don't want to. You can just do your regular B&B combos and just go for damage. There will be a lot of scaling. That's why most people go for the mix-up. Of course, they want to go for the round win. But it doesn't matter. You can customize it however you want. Alright guys, so I showed you all the different steps here, so let's combine them all together and I can show you guys some touch of death combos. Alright guys, that's a wrap for this guide. I had a blast making it. Hopefully you guys learned something from this. Of course, I'll be updating you guys in the future when more and more Gill tech gets discovered and perfected. Let me know in the comments below if you guys have a better setup that you'd like to share, or if you have any questions for me. Of course, I'll try my best to answer them. More tech and guides out in the future, guys. Do me a solid, like the video, and of course subscribe to the channel so you guys don't miss out on that. And yeah, I'll see you guys really, really soon. Take care, everyone.